Everything gets slowed down, Zapruder film-esque here.
Everything gets slowed down, Zapruder film-esque here.
This is a marking rehearsal where I'm going to show her. She's standing next to the camera. She's like this, you're me. She's got a monitor here. The camera is here filming that way. She takes a monitor that is his monitor, the operator, and turns it toward her. It swivels, and she says to me, hold the gun lower. Go to your right. Okay, right there. All right, do that. Now show it a little bit lower. And she's getting me to position the gun. Everything is in her direction.
Wait a minute. It's almost like he was saying conspiracy, and then he was sort of laying out a conspiracy. Or did I miss something?
No man is more anti-conspiracy, according to himself, than Alec Baldwin, who has now invoked the mother of all conspiracies to explain his shooting. Or assassination, as he would refer to it.
Well, exactly. And it may be something else. So I just want to let everybody know I'm experimenting a little bit. This is also being streamed on Utreon.com. It's another platform. Mark, you know, my channel got nuked in February, completely wiped off of YouTube. When that happened, though, my content was still safe on Utreon, where people could still watch it. So I've been working with the CEO. They have live streaming available there now, and he's asking me to help send traffic their way to test it and just make sure it's working out right. So if you guys want to check it out, I dropped a link in the chat. There's a link in the description. You know, head over, give them a little bit of traffic, sub while you're there, just in case, you know, something happens, and we'll deeply, deeply appreciate it. Now for the show, Ripple Awards?
Yeah, not the drink, not the beverage of blues musicians. The Ripple of Hope Awards last night in New York. This is a late-breaking dot series that I just want to lay down for the the dot addicted out there, the people who love dots, who live on dots, who want more dots. I found some dots last night, late at night, in my dot headquarters in Columbus, Ohio, and I transferred them out here to LA. And apparently there was the Ripple of Hope Awards, which is an annual awards to honor the legacy and memory of Robert Kennedy. The Ripple of Hope speech was 1966, as many of you know, in South Africa, where he was one of the first to speak out against apartheid, way ahead of anybody else in 66 doing this. And the family has created an annual award. They have hijacked his politics and have turned him into Fidel Castro by doing this, because they have dragged what was a hero of mine, who was basically a conservative Democrat Attorney General of the United States, a man who signed the wiretap orders on Martin Luther King. His signature is on the bottom of those wiretap orders because of King's involvement with a communist named Sam Levinson, who was his chief advisor. I don't think Merrick Garland would have the gonads to do something like that today, but Robert Kennedy was a conservative centrist Democrat at that time. He'd probably be considered an extreme right-wing terrorist, anti-American fanatic today. Yeah. Anyway, so the awards last night were interesting because the Ripple of Hope Awards are really the who's who of virtue awards, and they were at a Midtown Hilton hotel, and the one of the award winners was a woman named Stacey Abrams, who claims to be the governor of Georgia, and apparently is a porno novelist, from what I've read of her work, under a pseudonym. So she got an award.
Her and Barr's dad.
Jose Feliciano, I can't see why he got an award, but apparently he couldn't see it either and accepted the award with grace. Last year, it was Anthony Fauci who got the award, an obscure doctor, the Dr. Mudd of the 21st century.
Mark, we prefer to call him Saint Fauci.
Saint Fauci got an award. And along with Colin Kaepernick, it was a dynamic duo. But I just wanted to explain some of the guests who were at this year's awards. Dan Aykroyd and Jane Alexander were at this year's award. Now, I don't have any beef with Dan Aykroyd. I did Liquid Acid with Dan Aykroyd. He's a great guy. He's with Jane Alexander, and I doubt that he said, "Jane, you ignorant slut," to Jane Alexander, who is not Jane Curtin. But even having said, "Jane, you ignorant slut," I doubt that that phrase could even be uttered on Saturday Night Live today, something that Dan Aykroyd made his bones saying back in the day in a phony CNN debate skit, as many of us remember. Okay, so Michael Beschloss was there, a phony anti-conspiracy deep state historian. Douglas Brinkley, another deep state famous historian, along with Lorraine Bracco of Goodfellas. Not sure why she was there. Peter Frampton was there. Of course, one of his biggest hits, the now mantra of the Democratic Party, breaking all the rules, Eric. That's why Peter Frampton was there. A known Trotskyite was there named Van Jones, who was unceremoniously removed as an advisor to Obama for being a card-carrying communist. I believe he's trying to put his hat in the ring for a seat on the Central Planning Committee if this revolution succeeds. So Van Jones was there for the RFK Awards. Now we get into the Kennedy family, which is where I was going with this. Chris Kennedy, Edward Kennedy Jr., Joe Kennedy III was there to celebrate. Patrick Kennedy, Max Kennedy, Rory Kennedy, and of course, there were some other Kennedys there as well. Let's see. The other speaker who was there was the former spokesperson for Jussie Smollett, a woman named Kamala Harris. She was there giving the keynote address along with all these different Kennedys. Now, Kerry Kennedy was there, and she came out. And the reason this is important is because, as many of the viewers at home, oh, by the way, Don Lemon was there, along with a famous magazine editor named Nicholas Kristof from the New York Times. A human brat named John McEnroe was there. This is the Virtue All-Star team, Eric. The guy named Ari Melber was there from a obscure news service called MSNBC. He was there. Keep the book money coming. Rob Riggle was there. I'm really disappointed in Rob Riggle. We both love Rob Riggle, Eric, right? Martin Sheen, who's never missed an opportunity to impersonate a Kennedy. He was there. CIA operative Gloria Steinem was there, Eric, in a cameo appearance, along with a guy named Dante Stallworth, who, as I recall, was a great wide receiver. I don't know why Dante Stallworth was there. That guy could catch a football. Anyway, so once this whole crowd was introduced and everybody came out, the MC was there, and the MC started telling jokes. The MC came out because the MC has got to roast. They got to make it like a roast. So the MC came out, and the MC last night was a man named Alec Baldwin. He was the MC, and this is where I was going with this entire freaking story, Eric. You will shut up.
You're turning into a shaggy dog, though.
You will stop and you will learn.
You and thinking Norm Macdonald. I mean,
I'm going full Norm Macdonald today, Eric. Alec Baldwin took off his beard and cleaned himself up last night and Ubered over to the Ripple of Dope Awards, where he began to tell such jokes as, "The only reason I'm here tonight is I have 6 kids and I'll do anything to get 30 minutes out of the house." Oh, the crowd goes crazy, laughing, applause. It's a joke probably used 5,000 roasts ago. Anyway, the person who comes out next to follow that is Rory Kennedy. And Rory Kennedy, Kerry Kennedy, not Rory Kennedy, Kerry Kennedy comes out and thanks Alec Baldwin by saying, "In your good times and bad, and in his good times and bad, he always shows up," about Alec Baldwin. Now you say, what possible connection could Kerry Kennedy have to this? Like, is she just a random Kennedy? Is she a Kennedy, a dead Kennedy that you just throw away into a punk rock band with D.H. Pellegro, my old friend, the drummer? Or is she an active Kennedy, someone who has a stake in Alec Baldwin's life? Now you say to yourself, what could this Kennedy have anything to do with Alec Baldwin? Well, Kerry Kennedy in 2014 was arrested and stood trial in a court of law for driving as a zombie for 5 miles at 95 miles an hour, crashing her Lexus into the back of a semi-tractor trailer up in Connecticut on Ambien. She was then arrested for being completely unconscious behind the wheel, slammed into the back of the truck, stood trial, and at her trial, she brought in every living Kennedy known to man. Her attorney was a guy named Jerry Lefcourt, who Mort Saul said was a CIA attorney who defended Abby Hoffman in the Chicago 7. Lefcourt defended her in a court of law. She opened up talking to the jury by saying on the witness stand, my father was killed in 1968. He was a senator around president. That was her opening line to get empathy from the jury. A bold statement, nevertheless. She then wheeled in her mother in a wheelchair, Ethel Kennedy, and sat her next to the defense table. She was married to a guy who would later rise in prominence named Andrew Cuomo, who was then Attorney General of the state of New York. I just wanted to put some dots out there for the audience because I am so filled with fucking dots. I got to get them out of my system, Eric. I'm going to throw up. I have so many dots in me today. So she is standing trial, and a jury of her peers says she took the Ambien by accident. She really wanted to take Synthroid, and she somehow beats the charges. But the key thing is that she doesn't remember. She has amnesia of the crime. She can't remember the crime itself. So how could she say she's sorry? Does that sound familiar, Eric? When I testified at the Sirhan parole hearing, these Kennedys came out and demanded that this man who's been in jail for 56 years never get out because of their own virtue signaling hypocrisy. They're all for the emptying of America's prisons. They're all for mass incarceration ending. And that is on the top of the agenda for the Ripple of Hope Awards. It's the #1 subject on their website is ending mass incarceration, except for Sirhan. And a guy who's sitting next to me was RFK Jr., who also is demanding the release of Sirhan, and Bobby Kennedy Jr., and their brother. And the fact of the matter is, these people who were at the awards last night, these people say that this man cannot get out of prison because he did not, but they say he did, kill their father. So all of their hypocrisy about prison reform goes out the window. Kerry and Rory Kennedy both said that if Sirhan gets out, he might Uber to Malibu from Pasadena and kill them. Okay, but everybody else is allowed to get out. We all have to suffer the grave consequences of freeing everyone from prison, except the man that she says killed her father. So I found this ironic that this woman would come out after having been on trial herself for murder, okay? For, not murder, but for, being in an amnesic state, committing a crime. So it's interesting because it's just startling to me that an event honoring a man killed by an immigrant assassin with a handgun would be hosted by an assassin who killed an immigrant with a handgun. If you follow what I'm saying.
Definitely.
That is bizarre. That is a bizarre dot. Okay. That's where I was going with this system now. Now, the fact of the matter is the Sirhan parole thing is coming up in a couple of days, and we'll revisit that hopefully with Barnes and David on a 4-person Texas tag team wrestling uber giant YouTube battle to the death. But the point of the matter is the hero who was not there, the guy who was not there, who breathes the fire of his dead father was RFK Jr., who has written a book about Fauci. That's one of the best books I've ever read about the pandemic. I urge everyone out there to get RFK Jr.'s book on Fauci. You will be completely shocked. He's known him for 40 years. The family's known him. He completely levels this guy, and it's just an amazing book. But the fact of the matter is the missing Kennedy last night was RFK Jr., and that's telling. And if you believe that a tiny DA a tiny district attorney in Santa Fe, New Mexico, after seeing that entire massive Democratic Party last night embrace Alec Baldwin, is going to indict him and commit political suicide, you're out of your mind. There is not a chance in hell after last night of that woman indicting this man on this planet. Unless she's switching parties and committing suicide, that phone would ring from 9 million different Democrat VIP celebrities who embraced Alec Baldwin last night. And that's why he did it. And that's why I was going to this length to explain last night's PR move by Alec Baldwin. And now we can start the show.
Yep, that and his previous PR move, which was not even a week ago today, George Stephanopoulos, which ties him directly to the Clintons, which is the other clan, which is going right down. Oh, you're a Democrat? I've got the entire freaking infrastructure behind me.
Right. They were all there last night, too. And I'll just say this. There was a previous angle to the show that I had created in my mind before this happened, which is what we're going to talk about now. And he has, there was some video of him going to visit an old friend the other night that made the news. And that video was him knocking on a guy's door on the Upper East Side.
I actually have that. We can.
You do have that? Okay.
Of course. Let me pull that tab up. I actually have it from two different views. I have both the original and the PTSD version.
It's like a Zapruder film.
Wait, Mr. Baldwin, I have to ask you, what brings you to New York City?
I asked you to leave.
I asked you to leave.
Mr. Baldwin, why? Who's here?
I asked you to go away. Go away.
This is not anyone's private home. Are you? This is not any. This is public property.
Go away.
Who's here? Did you really not pull the trigger?
Whoa.
Do you believe it went off without you pulling the trigger? Was it a malfunction?
Okay, so
but hold on, we got to be fair though.
Okay,
we got to be fair. Hold on, let me get this straight. Well, we're only, we're looking at his perspective. Why don't we look at Hilaria's?
Walk away.
Oh wow, that's kind of cool.
This is public property.
You were walking in that direction. I'm going to call the police if you don't leave.
Call the police, please.
Please.
That's brilliant. That's
Please
brilliant.
go.
Brilliant. She's got cinematography skills. I don't know why he's going to outside people. This woman could work really well for him.
Especially
whoever she is. She clearly knows how to hold a camera, Eric.
What brings you to New York City?
I asked you to leave.
I asked you to leave.
Why? Who's here?
I asked you to go away. Please.
Dude,
go
it's like
away.
the Scientologists when they used to film it.
You're not allowed to film somebody's private home.
Public property.
Go away. Stop
Who's here? Did you really not pull the trigger?
Okay, I get it. The situation with Hilaria is kind of interesting because at the front end of this video, she says that for many, many years, Alec Baldwin has been suffering from PTSD, having nothing to do with shooting and killing a cinematographer. She claims on Instagram that he has been suffering from not just PTSD, OCD, but the PTSD was interesting. And I wondered where he got the PTSD, having never served in Vietnam and never been in a battle zone. He somehow acquired PTSD. I don't really know how he got that. But the reality of it is he did play Bob McNamara in Path to War. That's him back there. And McNamara famously cracked up and had a complete crying, nervous breakdown when he went to a ceremony with LBJ when he resigned and became president of the World Bank. And LBJ was presenting him to the my favorite show of all time. Okay, so he had a breakdown. Robert McNamara on TV started sobbing uncontrollably after having killed so many people indirectly, lying about the Vietnam War, that possibly Alec Baldwin, while playing Robert McNamara, might have gotten a contact high PTSD from the character through the Stanislavski acting method that Baldwin used to learn. He has PTSD and OCD.
And TDS for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, to make a long story short, she came out and said that the reporters all know that he has PTSD, like this guy, Levine is his name, from the New York Post. John Levine from the New York Post. She claims that he and other reporters know that Alec has PTSD and they bait him, and then he snaps, to explain why he snaps all the time. I just wanted to get that out there because it's fascinating. Now let's talk about briefly where he was going that night, the other night. Where he was going was into a house, and I'm going to explain why he went into that house and who lives in that house to our audience of dot collectors. I'm not going to connect the dots. That's for you at home. I'm just going to give you the information that my sources in New York have provided me from the film sources that I have in New York City. And you can make what you want out of this, because I'm investigating this in real time and trying to get this news out there to people as quickly as possible. Okay. All right. You ready, Eric? You ready? Okay. The house that he went into is the mansion of Woody Allen. Now, Woody Allen, before you do anything, let me just explain my connection to Woody Allen, because all of these stories have me involved in some reason. Woody Allen, AKA Alan Konigsberg, went to Midwood High School with my mother, who double dated him with Phyllis, her girlfriend. And he could have been my father. I could have been Ronan Farrow if everything worked out. But my mother chose to marry a jazz drummer instead of Alan Konigsberg, who she said was a little twerp with pimples. I just want to get that off my chest. So I could have been Ronan Farrow, but no, I've got to be me and just live this incredibly simple, low life of talking to you every day.
I know. I brought you down. He's tumbling to the end here.
So
he's descending into hell.
Maybe I could have been Ronan Farrow, but I'm not. So my mother went on a double date with Konigsberg, who became Woody Allen. Now, Woody Allen, which is where I'm going with this, is making a film in Paris. It's his 50th film in January. Alec Baldwin was there because he's going to be part of that film. That's why he was in that place at that time. He was going there because I believe, by the way, the film is going to be like Match Point.
They've worked together multiple times.
Excuse me?
They've worked together multiple times.
Right. Okay. But I'm referring lately, the last one, which is Blue Jasmine with Cate Blanchett and Peter Sarsgaard and the legendary Andrew Dice Clay, who was fantastic in Blue Jasmine in 2013. The film is going to be a murder mystery in the vein of Match Point, which had, here it is, The Untitled Paris Project. And Alec Baldwin needs the money for his defense. That's why he referenced the January film. He's going to go to Paris with Woody Allen, from what I understand. Now, here's the other plot twist and the other dot. He is going to ask, and has asked and arranged, for Woody Allen to come out and speak publicly in his defense. This is what you're going to see in the next couple of weeks. The reason that's going to happen is that Alec Baldwin was the only person to speak out in defense of Woody Allen when Mia Farrow, the crazy psycho from hell, accused him of molesting her children. Keep in mind that Mia Farrow's brother is in prison right now for being a child molester. Just a sidebar thing on Woody Allen, who I love. Woody Allen will come out and he will defend Alec Baldwin in response to Alec Baldwin defending him. Okay, that's the whole Woody Allen. If I mention Woody Allen, there's a reason for you to show this little clip that you may have found on your own.
Yes, I think I have something else.
Do you have something of Woody Allen that we could take a look at?
Yeah,
Something that ties in, Eric, not just some random video of Woody Allen.
Shoot, I'm screwed.
How does he tie into the Zapruder film and the conspiracy of Alec Baldwin now saying there is a conspiracy to kill the cinematographer?
I have no idea.
I'm sorry, I can't go through with this because I can't get it off my mind, Allison. It's obsessing me.
Oh, I'm getting tired of it. I need your attention.
But it doesn't make any sense. He drove past the book depository, and the police said conclusively that it was an exit wound. So how is it possible for Oswald to have fired from 2 angles at once? It doesn't make sense.
How's
Yeah. Dave,
well,
it's a conspiracy.
Now we've come completely full circle back to Oswald, where all roads lead to Oswald on this channel. So we've now gone completely around the room. Don't forget we had the Ripple of Hope awards. We've had the crew letter that came out this week, from the Alec Baldwin releasing the letter from the crew about that there was no safety issues on the set. So I looked into this crew letter, by the way. It was signed by 20 people. The crew had 70 people. So 20 of them signed the letter. Of the 20, only 4 have acknowledged being a part of the film on IMDb out of the 20. Here's the letter right here. Only 4 people out of the 20. The 20, by the way, some of the 20 are the replacement camera crew that came on to replace that huge inflated guy. Who was it? What was the guy's name? The inflated guy.
Looper. Looper.
That inflated man. The people that replaced him signed the letter. They just got there an hour before the shooting, but they signed the letter anyway. So I don't know anything about there's a couple of makeup people on there, but I found it odd that only 4 of them would actually have the Rust production listed on their IMDb page.
You got to give some credit, though. At least Alec didn't just repost something from another person's Instagram. He was like, "Oh, just cut out the middle person. Let me just throw it out there."
Right.
I'll do it myself.
Right. Anyway, so I'll tell you something else. The film that he's going to shoot in Paris, Alec Baldwin, the cinematographer, who I hope he doesn't kill. Let's just be straight with that. Is Vittorio Storaro, one of the greatest cinematographers in the world. And I'm sure Alec Baldwin will not be talking to Vittorio Storaro. He speaks very little English. He's Italian, and he's made such film as Reds, The Last Emperor, The Conformist. He shot the last 4 Woody Allen films also. But Vittorio Storaro is 81. He was one of the greatest cinematographers in the world. So he's going to go from having killed a cinematographer with 1 or 2 credits to working with, by many estimations, the greatest cinematographer alive today. He also was the cinematographer on a little film called Apocalypse Now, and but Last Tango in Paris. I mean, there's quite a few Vittorio Storaro films, but I just find it odd that he would go from working and killing Miss Hutchins, sadly enough, to now working with the greatest cinematographer in the history of the world, Vittorio Storaro. I find that ironic.
Yeah, it is. That is insane. And by the way, this is kind of a segue, but last episode, I had mentioned someone who had shouted us out because this guy is all over the stuff. You and I talk about him all the time, and he talked about the letter and he's talked about other things. But I need to give him a proper shout out. H.A. Goodman.
Oh, Goodman. He's good, man. Yeah, he's over this thing. Yep. Good guy.
I mean, if you guys want to go deep and just see more Baldwin, I mean, I don't know of anybody who's out there digging beyond us. He's out there constantly looking. And I just wanted to correct that because I was like, there's this guy and he shouted us out and I forgot his name. And I just want to put
David gave us a great shout out at the end of that video.
Oh, yeah.
The other day about punishment, that psychological thing about self-punishment. That was very nice.
Yep, the punishment question, which is a really good observation.
Yeah, it's a great observation. Great observation. But look, the fact of the matter is, just my humble opinion, that show of force last night by Baldwin was brilliant. There is not a district attorney in any city in this country who would indict him after that. It was like veritably every single Democrat, celebrity, and politician in America involved in that operation last night. And you got to tip your hat to his PR emergency team for arranging that. That was just genius. That was pure genius. If I was Reed and the AD, I would start looking for more, fundraising for their legal defenses because I think those two are about to go down as opposed to Baldwin. And I think he just bought himself a Juicy Smollett, anti-Juicy Smollett defense team.
The thing about Baldwin is he's a
wily cat. He's a wily guy, man.
No, but that's not an unfair analogy comparing him to Juicy because Juicy could have just paid a fine and be done. Nothing would have happened. Or just shut his mouth. It was already, all the charges were dropped and people were pissed, but he had to go out and just rub his nose in it. This feels the same way. It's like, I don't think anything's going to happen with Baldwin.
Yeah.
But if he keeps working it, as hard as he is, he may corner them to the point where it's like
I think he's going to leave the country. I think he's going to leave the country and go with Woody Allen to Paris. He just wanted to do these PR stunts before he leaves, and he did a very good job. The Stephanopoulos thing, they can argue about it all they want. He just lined up the Democratic Party behind him. And, you know, Jesse had that too at the beginning. Remember, he had the same Kamala Harris, who was his spokesperson, the same, you know, Joe Biden, who was, you know, at this Ripple of Hope Awards last year. It's the same crew, you know, the same virtue signalers are there, Stacey Abrams and others. So we'll see if Smollett goes to jail or not. But I would be hard pressed to see an indictment of this guy after last night, is what I'm saying, you know.
Okay, now we were actually going to be doing this show on Wednesday, but just timing wise, it didn't work out. And we wanted to collect a little bit more, which I'm glad we did, because we had the whole Ripple Award. We would have missed the ripples.
Yeah, the ripples and dots of the Ripple Awards. Exactly.
The dots and rippling. So what we were going to talk about, and I've got a little clips of this, Thell Reed with Hannah Reed's lawyer.
Yeah.
And so a couple clicks, you know, pulled up, and I do want to talk, you know, get back to some of the other players.
Right.
And let's make sure his volume's up this time, Eric. Here we go.
He says his daughter should have been called into the church for that rehearsal. And if she had, this tragedy could have been avoided.
At one time, they should have had her on set. She would have rechecked that gun. If there was a live round placed there, she would have found it.
You have confidence that Hannah would have checked that gun one more time had she been in the church?
She knows what to do.
Because that's what you would have done.
Yeah, she does the job as good as I do now.
No one disputes that Hannah loaded Baldwin.
I think that was a significant statement to bring out. And
I agree.
There's one more. He also said earlier that she didn't like having two jobs. I didn't bother. I don't want to pull every clip out there. But
do you believe sabotage was possible on the set?
Oh yeah. You know, a lot of motive there.
Somebody wanted to cause a safety incident on set. Nobody wanted anybody to be killed. We've developed evidence of motive for that, why they might have wanted to do that, why Hannah might have been a target. And that's all gone to the sheriff. So we're asking for that to be completed before any decisions are made on charging.
The sheriff telling ABC News in a new interview, this investigation is still active.
We have not ruled out anyone in this case, and I don't believe the district attorney has either.
All right. So why I wanted to bring that up is because, there's multiple theories, and honestly, we still don't know technically what went wrong. There is the theory of micromanagement and is being annoyed and pulling the trigger, but then there's the question of how the round got there. So some of these theories can all work together. Right. And I was talking to you the other day, and the thing that stuck out to me really badly in that particular interview is when he said, it's actually a combination of that interview and the Alec Baldwin interview, but Thell said one time. And then remember when Alec was confronted with Dave Halls handing him the gun? He said, well, no, 99.9999% of the time, the armorer handed me the gun. And I don't know if he said Hannah or the armorer. If he said Hannah, that would be significant because he never said Halyna except for the beginning. So that would be.
Yeah, I think the Halyna thing was that he did not want to mispronounce her name.
Oh, that could be. That could be interesting.
That was my take on that. He didn't want to. She's got a weird pronunciation. It's not Halyna. It's like Halyna, something. It's Haylna. And I think
only his wife can say it with a fake Spanish accent.
Right. Only Hilaria could actually pronounce it, who said that she will be speaking truth to power in 2022. Also I don't know.
She's going to find her voice.
Find her voice. I'm sorry.
That's right.
Which is a new voice.
I know. I guess she's going to lose the fake Spanish and find it. Well, they're going to Paris. Maybe she'll get a French accent.
She could go to Spain and learn a new language over there. She could go back into the Basque region and lead a group of separatists fighting in the jungle. Not unlike the film Island of Dr. Moreau, which was a replacement, and they brought in John Frankenheimer, who directed Path to War with Alec Baldwin. John Frankenheimer came to the Island of Dr. Moreau and tried to salvage that film. But the previous director, who was fired, went up in the jungle and fought with the guerrillas, attacking the set of the Island of Dr. Moreau every night. and join the communist guerrillas to attack the set on a nightly basis.
Insane. All right, to circle back though, the point that I think is really, really important. And I'm sorry about the echoing. Somebody doesn't have headphones on. Hopefully this removes it. One time, somebody else handled the weapon. Now, the defense theory of Hannah is that it was sabotage and that there were people upset about working conditions. I'm going to throw this out there. What if somebody decided, oh, I'm going to pull one of the rounds that was being used for plinking. Let's say they had access to it, whatever. And I'm just going to throw it in with the other dummy rounds.
I can see that.
And then when they see Hannah, because they know that Hannah's going to take the gun, they could go make a fuss and say, see, I bet she doesn't even know what she's doing. Let's look at what's in that gun now. Let's see what's there. Let's see if there's any rounds. But this is the only time that Hannah didn't actually take the gun.
Could be.
Because the defense lawyer even said he didn't think that somebody meant to have that happen. But I could see somebody doing some stupid ass stunt like that and then just be waiting around, and they were going to go see her do it. And as soon as they saw her do it, then they could stop it and make a big fuss and production on, what a mess everything was. But because Dave Halls did it and took it, it went by. And then what do they do? So I don't know. It's just another theory thrown out there. But I think there's some possibility because of that one time. It just stuck in my head.
Well, according to the search warrant, I mean, there's 5 rounds in the gun, and she comes back after lunch and puts the 6th in there. And I would assume that might have been the live round. So the 6th round that goes into that cylinder was placed by her after lunch, according to the search warrant. I have to take that for what it is. Why she had only 5 in there before lunch and 1 after lunch is another mystery. I don't understand that one. And maybe she just grabbed from a box and there was a live round in the box, like you're suggesting, that somebody put that in there. I would think the reason I mentioned the inflated guy Looper is I would look at him as a person of interest. Think about Loopers. If you're looking for suspects, here's a guy that quits the project. Everyone says there was no safety issues except Looper. Who's complaining about hotels is Looper. Who's complaining about safety is Looper. Who looks like, I don't want to say that he's got some health issues, but clearly Looper is a unusual guy who has means, motive, and opportunity, Eric.
Except he wasn't there, unless he did it before he quit.
He quit that day. And don't forget that Pickle, the line producer, is demanding that Looper get off the set or she's calling the police. I think this has been covered up quite a bit, not covered up, but ignored quite a bit. There's a confrontation that morning where Pickle threatens to call the police on Looper. Now, you have to say there was a huge argument going on and Looper quits. And maybe that's why he did what he did. I mean, he's obviously got a motive, he's got means, and he had opportunity, Eric. I'm just saying, if I was a cop on this thing, the first guy I would interview would be Looper as to who would put a live round on that set.
Oh,
I mean, why would Hannah do it? To destroy her own career? That's absurd. I mean,
sorry, repeat that again.
Why would Hannah do it? To destroy her own career? Why would Halls do it? Why would these two? Well, the veteran Halls, who's been on 50 films, that would be insane. And then Hannah Reed, who's juggling 2 jobs, whose father has taught her every aspect of gun handling, according to her father, wouldn't do it in a million years. In fact, if she goes to trial, her father would not only be an expert witness, he would be a witness for the defense and be an expert witness. I don't know if that's ever happened before in court cases, because he's an expert witness.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying?
What's his motive? We just said the motive.
We just said the motive.
To point out safety breakdown.
Yeah, he quit over safety issues. He has to prove his point. His motive is you got to prove the point that I'm trying to make. And if this letter says there were no safety issues and Looper is the only one saying safety issues, then what's with Looper?
Also, using your point, Looper is the one who wrote that the gun handling was poor and that there were discharges a couple days prior, remember? So
yes.
he pointed out guns.
Yes.
His letter lined up actually perfectly with this because he pointed out gun problem, gun problem, gun problem.
But everyone denies gun problem, including Baldwin. I mean, somebody's lying here. Somebody's lying here. It's either Looper, Baldwin, or all of these people who signed the letter. That's 20 people right there who are lying. And the production team above the line is lying. Or Looper is lying. I mean, you have to, at some point, focus on Looper, at least to eliminate Looper. Right, Eric?
Yeah. Well, Looper was, I think I brought him back into it recently because he was like the very first person talking about it. And then he just sort of was gone on the side.
Right. Well, he goes to the ceremony over here in Burbank, and he spoke at the ceremony crying about her, and he didn't really know her. And he was sobbing about her. You know what I mean? At the memorial here in Burbank, you know, where nobody knew her, but they were all there sobbing, you know, in their mask with candles. I'm sure that some people knew her who were there, but the bulk of them didn't.
And again, this is all just pure ridiculous speculation,
right?
Not making any specific thing. As a matter of fact, if this was a script or a mystery novel, it would be Looper because you'd want it to be the closest person to the find, so everybody would forget about him by the time you came down to say who did it. So right. it does make a good mystery.
I think he was thinking. Now, here's my question from the beginning. I think he was thinking of quitting at lunchtime. A, because he loves food, but B, why show up at the set at 6 o'clock in the morning and then quit? Why did he come all the way back from Santa Fe or wherever the hotel was, which was his grievance, drive all the way back simply to quit the movie at 6 a.m. in the morning, get into a fight with Pickle? Why did he come all the way back? I believe he came all the way back because he was going to stay till lunch and do what he did with that bullet and possibly then quit. But what's her name? Pickle fired him at 6 o'clock in the morning when he showed up. And then he got into a fight with Pickle over the whatever his issues were. But I don't think didn't make any sense to me, Eric, for the guy to come all the way back to get fired or quit at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Okay. Sonia Gomez is pushing back. We're not saying Looper or anybody wanted anybody to get shot.
Right. That's a freak accident. We're just saying that he wanted to demonstrate an unsafe set. We're not saying that he planned to kill his friend.
Someone did.
Potentially.
What's that? We're saying that someone did potentially if it is sabotage. It's just possibility.
Right. We're just talking about the sabotage issue. I mean, of just showing an unsafe set. I mean, if a bullet that comes off and blows off a round, he may have done the other one for all we know. You know, the other round that blew off. When you're a disgruntled employee, Eric, you could do anything.
True. And
he's clearly a disgruntled employee.
This is possible. He may have had his equipment on the set that he had to pick up.
Highly doubtful.
But
highly doubtful he left that equipment there.
Yeah. And also would probably film equipment. Most of the time they lease the equipment that they're using, right? He's not bringing his own camera.
No. I mean, I'm sure he's got certain items, but I don't think he's leaving them in the middle of the desert overnight.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we've spread a lot of dots.
There's a lot of dots. Again, I'm not connecting them. I don't have any conclusions. I'm merely pointing out things that I found that are dots. It's up for the viewers to try to connect them. I don't know if any of them do connect, but clearly there's a lot of smoke here. There's a lot of smoke, a lot of items that I believe over the next week or two or three will begin to unfurl, Eric.
Yeah. Well, every time we think, well, we're going to probably let the story die down for a little bit, let's work on some other things, then pop, and the next thing happens. And there may be something else going on. I don't know for sure. Who knows? We might even have a guest. I don't know.
Really?
We might.
Okay. I'll have to clean up my apartment. Are they going to be on here, or are they coming over here?
They're going to be on the ether room.
Oh, okay, right.
So,
That's better. That's better.
Well, I never would want to swim to your place. It's a mess.
The the situation will expand. We'll have another box of a third person. In other words,
very, very, very possibly.
I love this little Philly woman. She's now. Thank you. As somebody who appreciates good content.
Yes,
Thank you, little Philly.
Everyone, while we're on that, this is the pitching and begging time or whatever. But thank you so much for these super chats. This video was demonetized within 1 minute of our starting. I already checked it. I already put in a request. Everything's being demonetized. God, we had Thanksgiving demonetized, folks.
It was controversial. It was about the Mayflower. That's
dare us. I mean, we weren't even talking about Columbus, for God's sake.
The Mayflower is controversial.
Yeah, it's like whatever. Anyway, so this all helps a lot. We also have merch available. I haven't talked about it, but you can get really cool T-shirts with our logo on it if you guys
get
like.
Out of here.
Stickers, hoodies, everything.
This thing's blowing up, Hunley.
There you go. Well, let's hope. Somebody mentioned Venmo. I haven't looked into Venmo. I can look into that. Sure. We do have PayPal though in the
Oh, right. There's PayPal, Eric.
Yeah, we have PayPal. And again, we always have locals.
Heather, whatever. Way to go, Heather.
Awesome.
I love this.
Yep.
Wow.
We also have locals where we will be, adding more content. So, we don't want just to ask. We want you guys to check it out. We'll give you more. There's a community there on locals. You can post yourself. You can speculate. You can share.
Right.
Hey, you can help us do a little bit of research and find things out. And that's always welcome because we can't cover everything. And what else is there? Oh, hey, something's free. It's subscribing. That's free.
Oh, subscribing is free. Yeah, just subscribe. If that's the least you can do.
Yeah.
Just push the subscribe button. I mean, how hard is that? I mean, even if you have no arms or fingers, if you just have prosthetic hands,
well, you can do nose.
Move them over to the button or use your elbow. We'd really appreciate it. Look, I know it's tough. You don't have arms or hands because of whatever happened to you, and we have a lot of empathy. But think about us. Like we have hands and arms, and we can't just subscribe. I'm also at Lord Buckley. If you want to follow me on Twitter, that's LY at the end, at Lord Buckley. You got to see the stuff I write. I'm really embarrassed, but if you come over, I think you might enjoy it. Some people like it. I don't know. It's a thing, Twitter. And then they got the PayPal thing down below for the book fund, Eric, to get me these books so I can read about these subjects. We've got merch now, right?
Yep. It's
in
the description.
There's sweatshirts, right?
Sweatshirts, T-shirts, coffee cups, stickers.
Oh, what about the purple cup?
We're working on it. We're a lot of people like Mark's purple cup, so we're working on maybe getting one with the logo on it. That's gonna be fun.
I got to get one of those.
Definitely. Well, if we get a purple cut, you better have it.
Right. Okay.
You better represent, my friend.
We're on this thing called Locals, right? Where there's extra secret content, and we're going to do. We did an extra video last week, didn't we?
We did this week. The Art Detective did a little bit of a.
Right. We did some extra on that. Are we going to do some extra on this, or?
Yeah, we probably will. We may be doing it from your phone, though. You're going to be doing some traveling, so
don't
figure that out.
Don't say anything about that. That's nobody knows that.
Mark's traveling to New Mexico.
Never leave. I'm here the whole time.
No, he'll be on location in Santa Fe.
No. I'm staying. Not working on a film. I'm here right now helping Eric put this channel together. Not going anywhere. All the burglars out there, remember. Anyway, there's a lot of weird people watching this channel, Eric, so just be careful.
Right.
Okay, so what are we doing next?
I don't know. But we're
going
to
do the Moonies? Are we going to do what were you talking about?
We got the Moonies. We got the Art Detective. No, Art
Detective's
done.
Detective.
Sorry. We still have Elliott Smith that we have to finish up.
We have to finish Elliott. Well, that was restored, right?
Yes, all the videos are restored, but we have to do that, and hopefully with Allison, who wrote the book.
Allison
Elliott Smith, and we'll talk about his.
She's also French, and we can maybe ask her about the Woody Allen movie in Paris, and she can help us with that script. But she's an expert on Elliott Smith, and she's also the one who got the original coroner's report, so that'll be helpful. She's great. She lives pretty close to me, and is French, of all things, for some reason.
So let's just leave it at that. We've got that coming up. We've got Saving a Sock coming up. Sock coming up pretty soon.
Oh, the Jonas Salk thing is coming up. Right.
And other stuff. I mean, that's why people have to subscribe. You never know. It's like chocolates and different things are gonna come out. It's
right.
All kinds of great flavors. So
what about tonight? Isn't it the 2020 Alec Baldwin special tonight on ABC? It's a 2-hour special. I can't wait to see this thing. We may have to do a special about the special, Eric.
We may even do that on Locals. I don't know.
Oh, right. Okay. I see what you're saying. You're a mad genius, Hunley. I don't know how any of this thing works. Only Hunley knows how this stuff works. I'm just an idiot who's a journalist. But Hunley knows how all these bells and whistles work behind the YouTube empire. That's why Hunley's
echo microphone.
Except for echoes, which drives Hunley crazy.
It does. Till next time, folks.
Oh, that's it. Goodbye.